So, hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Jonnychipz Weekly. It is Friday, the 18th of March, 2022. My name is John Lunn, aka Jonnychipz, and in this series, we talk about all your Azure news and updates. We talk about community callouts, Welsh Azure user group news, and Jonnychipz on the side. So, without further ado, this is episode number 64, Time. So, hey again, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode. Thanks for tuning in, as always. Please do click on the subscribe button on the channel right now if you can. It helps you get notified next time another episode goes live. So, yeah, without further ado, episode number 64. This week's episode is called Time because I feel I don't have enough of it. I'm sure we're all feeling the same way. We've come out of COVID, I think, to a point. We're all getting back to what we remember as being a bit of normality kind of 2 years ago. I mean, I don't know. How's it going for you? Drop some comments in below. Let me know how this whole return to what we once knew as normality. It's going interestingly for me at the moment. Got a couple of in-person meetings scheduled. Looking forward to some events and things like that. So, point is, we just don't seem to have enough time at the minute. So anyway, this week's episode, much of the same as the other formats of the previous weeks. We're going to jump straight on in first and do some community call-outs. Let's go. So first up, happy birthday to Oh My Posh, Jan de Dobelier. I had a chat with Jan a couple of months ago now. We did an episode for the Festive Tech Calendar on Oh My Posh. And if you are using any kind of command line, really, I mean, this was originally centered around PowerShell. There's ways you get it to work on your Bash shell. So yeah, go and check it out. It's really to get that pretty prompt in your command line interface. And as Jan has pointed out here, it had its birthday. I think this was posted yesterday, so I think it's his birthday today. So happy birthday to Oh My Posh. If you're not familiar with it, go and check it out. It's quite good fun, and it's a really cool feature and utility to have on your command line. So go and follow Jan or head over to ohmyposh.dev, I believe. You can see there. Just follow Jan on Twitter, Jan de Dobelier, and go and get the link and go and sign up and get it on your machine if you haven't already. Next up, this week has been the Azure Spring Clean week, where Joe and the team, Joe and Thomas, fundamentally have got Azure Spring Clean set up every year, where they kind of reach out to the community and get community content collated together all around the management of Azure. So as you can see here, head on over to azurespringclean.com. We are on Friday, and you can see that we've got sessions from 10 o'clock, 3 sessions from 12 o'clock, another 3 sessions. And it's really cool. You can see we can go back to Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. I'm not sure. There we go. So it is the last day today, the 18th. You can see there's some well-known people across the community there have dropped some really awesome content out into the Spring Clean this year. Go and check it out. Show some support. Retweet some of the links. Give some feedback for some of the sessions if you can. It's really cool. Like I say, I'm flicking through myself. I've managed to watch a couple of these or read a few of the sessions. I think they're mainly blog articles on here. But yeah, go and show your love for some of the bits of content that are on Azure Spring Clean this year. So yeah, thanks to Joe and Thomas for arranging that. And yeah, go and check it out, azurespringclean.com. Next up, had the pleasure of catching up with Mark earlier on in the week about Azure Functions University. He tweeted this out the other day just to say that he'd put some blog posts up for Azure Functions University. Head on over to his blog series, Dev2 Mark Duiker /series. I mean, if you just head on over to Mark Duiker, you can find that. Stay tuned for In Convo With. There's an episode with Mark coming up very soon. And yeah, looking forward to that when we talk about what the Azure Functions University is, what serverless he has been getting up to over the last few years. And of course, pixel art as well. Mark has got this awesome range of pixel art that he's kind of created over the years. And yeah, anyway, stick around. go and check out the Azure Functions University from Mark. Go and follow Mark on the Twitters if you haven't already. Orin Thomas, yeah, I mean, I've used some of this study guide now. I sat a Z800 last week. More about that later on. But yeah, go and check out Orin's guides. Well, he's linking it to the Microsoft Docs, but Orin has been fundamental in getting these two hybrid Azure Windows Server exams, so AZ800 and 801. It's really to bring that kind of infrastructure type person where you were used to dealing with on-prem server environments, Active Directory, all the surrounding infrastructure kinds of technologies. It was great exam to sit, actually, and I'll talk more about that in a second, but go and check this out. Really good prep course. Go and follow Orin. He's always giving out some great detail of how to prep for these exams. Like I say, I believe he's had a huge part to play in creating them, so thanks to Orin for that. Really great exams, and yeah, go and check it out. Next up, the Microsoft Cloud Security User Group. I've got their next session scheduled on the 31st of March, so we've got a couple of weeks for that one, but we've got another two fantastic peeps from the community, Kevin Evans, talking about securing your cloud environment, and Derek Smith, modernizing your SOC with Sentinel. So go and stick that in the diaries, 31st of March, 8 p.m. GMT, from the Microsoft Cloud Security User Group, which is run by... why is my mind going blank at the moment? It's run by... my mind is not with it today. But it's Charles, and why am I thinking is it Chris? No, it's not Chris. Yes, it's Chris. No, it's not Chris. What am I doing? Anyway, I don't know. Sorry, guys. My mind's gone a blank. Anyway, go and check that out on the 31st of March. Next up, Jim Bennett. Yeah, this was tweeted out by Jim the other day again, and it's pretty cool. I mean, you'll know that I'm a big fan of IoT and doing some cool things with tech and Raspberry Pis and things like that. You can see here Jim has really gone full hog. He's created a subtitled T-shirt. So he's speaking, and as he's speaking, he's getting the subtitles come up on an LED array there using a small microprocessor there. You can just see the lead and battery is probably tucked into his back pocket there, running up to the display on his shirt. But really cool. Hoping to catch up with Jim in a couple of weeks' time. More on that when that happens. But yeah, IoT, AI, wearables. Go follow Jim Bob Bennett on Twitter and check it out. So yeah, cool to see. Thanks, Jim. Next up, Azure Lowlands. Stacey has tweeted out just to say if you want to take part in Azure Lowlands, which is a single-day event, based over in the Netherlands, but I guess this is going to be a virtual event. Yeah, on the 30th of June this year. They've got their call for speakers page open. So if you want to go and follow Stacey_Cash on Twitter and find that link, or just search Azure Lowlands on Sessionize if you're already signed up and you do want to speak, go and show some love and get some sessions submitted over there. So yeah, go and check that out, and also follow Azure Lowlands on Twitter. Yes, Bruno. Yeah, I noticed he was doing a couple of part series here using, I mean, anything Raspberry Pi and IoT. It's always going to be a cool, fun, interactive session, and that's exactly what they are. So part of the Reactor series, Bruno has released his second part. Go and check that out. Go and follow Reactor. Go and follow Bruno. All around the cool, funky things that you can be up to. And in this case, this was all around using the Azure IoT Edge and some machine learning. And he was doing some cool stuff there with various bits and pieces. So go and check that out. Go and take a look, and yeah, get knowledgeable on IoT Edge, because it's cool. Next up, big shout out to Mqtt. I've not shown some love to Mqtt for a little while, and I know he's been cracking on with his Mqtt the Future series, which is over on the Azure Live Twitch TV channel. Mqtt, you know, I can't believe he's not already surpassed 1,000 follows. So go and follow Mqtt, show him some love. He's an awesome guy in the community doing some fantastic things. Like I say, the Mqtt the Future series he's got going on, I know he's involved in a lot of other things behind the scenes as well. But just go and say hello, go and show Mqtt some love, and yeah, if you can, go and check out some of the episodes that he's got there, because he's get some great people on, talk about some really cool technology areas. So thanks to Mqtt for all that hard work as well. And Yeah, this caught my eye this week as well. Robert was on with April on the DevOps Lab talking about enterprise scale with Terraform. So this is closer to my heart, obviously, with my day job, is deploying landing zones using the Terraform modules that have been kind of created by the team in Microsoft to deploy all your landing zone, your enterprise scale landing zone architecture, if you like, that footprint that you use to set the guide rails, all your management groups, your policy, your landing zones for connectivity, for your identity, and for any applications and things like that. Really cool little episode. Thanks to April and Rebirth for that. So go and check that out. That was really cool on the DevOps Lab on Twitters. And finally, yeah, big shout out to the Azure Cloud Native user group. They've got Tom on the 22nd of March, so early next week, to talk about KIDA, so that event-driven architecture. So go and check that out. 22nd of March, it's 3 to 4 UTC. That will be a cool one. So thanks for letting us know. Thanks for that, Carl. Let's go back on over. So yeah, like I say, it's been a busy few weeks, if I'm being honest, for me. But no more so than this week. We've had lots of events kicking off. Seem to have ramped up in lots of different areas, but we'll get to that in a second. So for now, let's go and check out what's been going on in the Welsh Azure user group. Yes, this week we had our March virtual event on the 16th, so a couple of days ago now. It's available on YouTube below in the playlist if you want to go and check that out. I can honestly say it was an awesome event. I mean, they're all awesome events. They always are. We get some fantastic speakers on to give some fantastic talks. This month's event was no different. Elkan was on to talk about Bicep. Now, I've personally dabbled around the edges with Bicep. I've done a fair amount with ARM templates in the past, and like everybody, yes, they're a little bit cumbersome. They're a little bit difficult to manage. If you're doing something specific for a one-off. I'm sure people will argue with me, but for me, I find them a little bit tricky to manage. Bicep is there to try and make that a little bit easier. So to kind of abstract away a lot of that kind of those lines of code that you might have to create to use ARM templates, or like I say, just navigating ARM templates at times can be quite a task. So Elkan gave a really cool session on Bicep and, kind of how to get started with it, how to compare what does Bicep look like compared to when it generates the ARM templates, and just really some cool information. So if you are looking to get started with Bicep, please, I recommend you watching that session. It will at least get you off the ground and really to understand what the pros and cons and the meaning and the ways behind it and what the differences are against things like Terraform, other products. So huge thanks to Elkan for that. And the second session was Mqtt Fatunka. So like I say, I think I got some pictures there. So yeah, there's Elkan's session kicking off. And yeah, go and follow Elkan's blog article there, or blog site, thecloudmarathoner.com, whilst you're at it. But yeah, the next session was with our very own Mqtt Fatunka, who he's a co-founder of the Welsh Azure user group. He's been part of the user group before it was even the Welsh Azure user group, before my time. So he's a seasoned pro at the user group, and he's been a brilliant, I like to call him a friend. We've done so much over the last couple of years together with the user group now. And so Matt came on anyway. Matt, as you may or may not know, works for Microsoft as Cloud Solutions Architect, and he's in the digital and app innovation part of that part of the organization. Anyway, Matt does a lot with app innovation, and he came on. We in the user group, we do a quiz at the end of the user group, which fundamentally we've used programs like Mqtt, which is an interactive quiz. You can go on a quiz, you can go on your mobile phone or through a web browser. License ran out of that, so we moved to a product called Mentimeter. Big shout out to Dean from the cloud management community there for getting us onto that platform. And they've been great, in fairness, they've been great, but they do cost money. And when Matt found out that the Mqtt license had expired, he took it upon himself to think, maybe I can develop my own platform. And that he very much did. And do you know what? He's made it open source. He's put the Git repo there. Go and watch his session. That's all I'll say, because I was blown away by it, if I'm being truthful. It was absolutely fantastic. No slides. Matt just kind of talked about the problem statement, talked through the code, how he made some decisions on what kinds of languages, what kinds of frameworks he was going to use, and really talked us through how he'd pieced all of this together. with, obviously storing components and features in the resources in Azure. And he really took us through a demo, and we ended up using that platform to run our quiz for the event. Go and check it out. It was really good fun. Great session, and I hope we can get more sessions like that in the future. Really enjoyed it. So yeah, big shout out to Matt for that one. It was really fantastic to see. So our next session at the Welsh Azure User Group is on the 20th of April. Again, these people in the community that keep coming forward to talk at the user group are fantastic. There are some awesome people out there doing some brilliant things, and I always like to give them a shout out because they truly are doing some fantastic things. So next month, 20th of April, we've got Keith Atherton coming on to talk about how we can get prepared for Microsoft certs. So if you are beginning your certification journey, help us spread the word, because that'll be an awesome session. If you've got people in your organization that I don't know, maybe they're a little bit averse to wanting to sit certifications, or maybe there's juniors looking to get up and running with certain cloud technologies, Keith's going to come on and talk to us about how to prepare for those certs. So it's going to be quite a comprehensive guide to what to look out for and how to get ready for sitting those exams. So looking forward to that one, and Keith's a great guy as well. I've spoken to Keith a few times. Glad to have him on, and glad that he can give us some time for the Welsh Azure user group. And Anthony, I'm going to catch up with Anthony next week as well, so on some other stuff. So Anthony Mashford is coming on to talk about deploying enterprise file storage in Azure. So that's going to be a really cool talk as well, and really back to those traditional infrastructure. What do we do with this big lump of data? Where do we put it? How do we get it there? Looking forward to that session to see what Anthony talks us through there. So please do go on RSVP, sign up, follow us on Welsh Azure on Twitter, or if you're on Meetup, go and search for the Welsh Azure user group and RSVP, 20th of April, 6:30 p.m. GMT. And to wrap up the Welsh Azure user group, just remember, down below we've got a playlist. All the previous sessions are there, 20 videos in total. You can see, go and browse through them. There's some absolutely awesome talks. Well, they're all awesome as far as I'm concerned. Go and check it out. Go and see what you fancy. They're all time-stamped in there if you want to go and have a look. But there's a whole plethora of different talks, all centered around Azure. So there we go. That's our Welsh Azure user group news for this week. Okay, so I'm going to move hastily along because we've got a lot of Azure news to get through this week. But yeah, what have I been up to on the side? Let's jump straight on in and get on with it. First and foremost, I've got a new YouTube series kicked off a couple of weeks back called Schooled In. Had my guest on the show this Tuesday, which was Nikki Chappell. Nikki is a fantastic. She's just recently been awarded an MVP, quite rightly so. She does some awesome work over in the 365 tech community as well, cloud community. Nikki came on to talk to me about Microsoft Teams and that governance part around. We've all used Teams over the last 2 years. It's exploded. It's exponentially grown for Microsoft because of COVID and everybody working from home. And with that comes, a slight downside, maybe a slight negative element, that because a lot of companies have had to rush and put Teams in place and just get people up and running. Now it's time to kind of take breaths, look back, and look, there's a bit of sprawl. There's sprawl with who's created Teams, how they manage, and any data that needs to be kind of managed or locked down or deleted or moved. Nikki talked me through a really cool set of things to think about when it comes to actually governing your Teams environment to stop or to halt that sprawl of Teams and channels, things like that. So huge shout out to Nikki. Thanks so much for joining me for that one. Go and follow Nikki on the Twitters. So it's Chappell Nikki. You can see it there. There's the link on the screen. And go and check that video out. It's in the Schooled In playlist below. Great session. Looking forward to catching up with Nikki again at some point in the future. And yes, with sticking on the Schooled In theme, quick spoiler alert. This normally comes out. I've got them set to come out on the day just before the sessions go live. But next week's session is going to be with Rue Campbell. We're going to be talking all about Microsoft 365 Defender. I encourage you to go and check that. Go and RSVP, subscribe to the channel, get notified when that video goes live, and go and check it out. Rue, again, I can't stress enough how awesome these people are across the community. I know Rue is doing some fantastic stuff as well, with Cloud Conversations podcast he does with Pete. And yeah, go and check it out. Go and follow Rue. Stick that in your calendar, RSVP, and get notified. And go and consume it all. So on the Inconvo side, last week I had my guest of Dean Zafola already in the playlist below. Go and watch that one back. So Dean Zafola, as you may or may not know, he's a prevalent community member in the Azure Tech community with the Azure Academy on YouTube. His YouTube series has gone from strength to strength over the last 3 or 4 years, and he's such a fun, engaging, brilliant guy to talk to as well. I was really privileged to get the chance to have a sit down and a chat with Dean. Just on, I think we started talking around, kind of content creation, things like that, and Dean has got some really cool ways of looking at it. And well, look, just go and check out his YouTube channel if somehow you managed to miss that. So it's Azure Academy on YouTube, or follow Dean on Twitter as MS Azure Academy. Huge thanks to Dean for being a superb guest last week. But it is Friday. We've got another guest this week, and it's none other than Cloud Dev Dan. It's Mr. Daniel McLaughlin. Go and follow him, like I say, Cloud Dev Dan on Twitter. But it's a fantastic catch up with Dan. He's again been in touch with Dan on and off over the last year, 18 months or so. And he's doing some great stuff. He's got some great things going on across the community, things like Azure Pirate. We talk about that. And just Dan's thoughts and feelings about the community and tech in general. So it's a really good chat. He's a really great guy in the community. That's out tonight, 6:30 p.m. GMT. Like I say, subscribe, like, and all that good stuff. Please do so. And go and check that out tonight. That will be an awesome one to watch. Next up, there feels like there's so much going on, because there is. Little spoiler alert. I'm actually recording something this afternoon briefly, but this has got the potential to be something that takes a fair chunk of my time. A new initiative, When Ops Meets Dev, with Johnny, Robbie, and Swarmy. That's a spoiler. I've been kind of indicating over the last week or so that something is coming, and yeah, we had a catch-up the other day, just a bit of a run-through about recording an introduction video to what we hope to become, spoiler alert, a fortnightly live stream. And I'm not going to tell you what for. You're going to have to wait for the intro video to come out, which hopefully will be at some point, I don't know, over the weekend maybe? We'll see. But anyway, just thought I'd drop that spoiler in there. Let me know what you think. In other news, I sat the AZ 800 exam. Like I said, I managed to pass it. And do you know what? It's one of those exams that I looked at the skills measure and I thought, right, it's a lot of it is what I would, it's not legacy because it's current day and everybody's using it. But for me, it's the core bread and butter stuff that I learned, sort of 20 years ago with the advent of Server 2000 and Active Directory when that released. It is about the core infrastructure side, the server side. So we talk Active Directory, DNS, all of that good stuff, DHCP, all the infrastructure services that you get with Windows Server. I thought, well, I'm going to give this a shot. I didn't prepare for it, so I thought I was in for a bit of a hiding, because I must admit, it has been a little while. I mean, I deal with on-prem AD when I have to, but it has been a little while because I've been so focused on the cloud. I mean, apart from extending your traditional domain into Azure, there's not too much time that I get to play with the traditional Active Directory these days. So I thought, well, let's give it a go. Let's see if I've still got that knowledge tucked away somewhere. And it served me well. I managed to get a pass. I think I got up into the late 700s, about 800, I think I got. So it was just about, it passes a pass as far as I'm concerned. So I surprised myself, I think it's fair to say. Never normally done that. Every time I've done that in the past, I've normally failed with, sort of 500, 400 points, 500 points. But at least you get a bit of a taster for what the exam is. You can go and refresh. Great exam. Great to see that exam. I got to get the 801 scheduled now to get that hybrid badge, if I can, that hybrid associate badge. So I'm looking to do that over the coming weeks. But I've got another exam scheduled in, I think, for next week, the 600 exam, that I'm going to check that out as well. So anyway, that was good fun. And like I said earlier on, Oren Thomas has developed and helped develop with Microsoft some great learning paths on that across Microsoft Learn and Docs. So go and check those out if you're interested in sitting that exam. But it was a really cool exam, so enjoyed it. Other news, MVP Summit. Yes, Global MVP Summit. It'll be my first one. It's a virtual event happening at the end of this month in March. Obviously, it's only open to MVPs, and there are NDAs and things like that around it. But I'm pretty excited to be registered and signed up to my first event. Looking forward to it, just to see what that's got to offer. So yeah, I mean, anything that I can report back on that, I will. But of course, I think a lot of it is going to be NDA that'll be coming out. So I just thought I'd say, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So there we go. Anyway, that's what I've been up to on the side this week. Okay, so I think we are ready for our Azure news. So without further ado, let's jump on over, see what the news is this week. And good afternoon, evening, or morning, wherever you are in the world watching this. So yes, today we have got a huge amount of Azure news and updates for this week. There have been a whole heap. So I'm going to do my best to get through as many as I can. I might skip over a few because there are a lot in here. I think we're looking at probably about 25 to 30 updates. So let's get started on the first one. So GA, support for private link in Azure Digital Twins. So that Azure Digital Twins that enables you to represent real life offices, locations, anything like that in the digital form. That's now got the capability to hook into private link, which is pretty cool. Also, GA, pin analytics tiles to dashboards in IoT Central, so they're constantly upgrading that IoT Central experience, which is pretty cool. Public preview, trusted launch support for virtual machines using ephemeral OS disks. So trusted launch, I'll go through this, is a seamless way to improve the security of Gen 2 VMs. So it protects against advanced and persistent attack techniques by combining technologies that can be independently enabled, like secure boot and virtualized version of TPM. So there's a public preview being launched of trusted launch. Support for VMs using those ephemeral, those OS disks that are effectively those free disks. I would say free, the disks that are spun up with the OS that you get there. So go and check that out if that's of interest. Public preview again, Azure Synapse link for Azure Cosmos DB partitioning, Spark 3.1. A GA announcement of Azure database for MySQL flexible servers in 2 new regions. Just trying to see China East 2, China North 2. Cool. Public preview, protect Azure static web apps environments with a password. So by default, static web apps environments are publicly accessible, so you can configure a password now that will require your visitor to enter it before viewing your static web app, which is cool. Public preview is your app configuration soft delete capability to help manage your configuration stores. Azure App Configuration has released new capabilities in public preview for standard tier subscriptions. So soft delete, if a store was accidentally deleted, and recover a store to its previous state for a period of 1 to 7 days after deletion. So all currently existing standard tier stores have this capability enabled with a default recovery period of 7 days. And protect against a hard delete. So with purge protection, with this feature, if a store is deleted within 1 to 7 day window for soft delete, you'll be able to recover it during a retention period that you set. So cool to see that's gone into public preview. Next up is your Signal R service premium tier has got some public preview. So we've got resiliency added with the ability of using availability zone support, and Azure high availability using Signal R service disaster recovery functionality. And you can easily scale up and scale down to meet capacity needs as well using auto scale. So there's public preview announcements. Cool. GA support for private links in Azure Monitor Agent as well. Okay. Public preview clustering support for Jboss EAP on Azure App Service. I'm not going to profess to know what those actually mean. So, yeah, next one. GA, Azure database for Postgres SQL hyperscale Citus supports Postgres. Do you know what? One day, I promise you, I'm going to read up about. That's a lot of words, yeah. Azure database for Postgres SQL hyperscale Citus supports Postgres SQL minor versions. great. I mean, to me, I need to read that up because I don't know if anybody feels the same, but that's a lot of words, and it's, I don't know, tell me, what does it mean? I need to read it, clearly. Next one. More about PostgreSQL. Flexible server supports Postgres minor versions as well. Okay, good. More. There's lots. There's always lots of updates with PostgreSQL Flexible Server. New US government regions. So, yeah, Azure database for PostgreSQL Flexible Server. I think I need to understand what flexible server means. Somebody tell me below, or I'll go and read it. General availability, new highly available regions for yeah, same again. They're doing lots with PostgreSQL Flexible Server at the moment, and another one. New extensions for Azure Database Postgres. Clearly, I need to read about PostgreSQL Flexible Server. Tell me what do we use it for today? What do we use PostgreSQL for in Azure, and why Flexible Server? Somebody explain that one to me. I'm going to have to read it. Right, next up, GA, Azure Database for MySQL, Flexible Server, new US government region. We've got more and more and more. Right, so, yeah, PostgreSQL has had a lot of updates, clearly. So go and check that out if you do use it. If you do use it and you're watching this video, drop me a line. Let me have a chat because I'd like to know more to save me having to go through reading through lots of docs or watching some videos at the minute because time I don't have a lot of, hence the name of this video this week. What day is it? Azure SQL public preview updates for mid-March. I'm not going to go into those, but they are there. General availability best practices assessment for SQL Server on Azure virtual machines. So you can now evaluate if your SQL Server on Azure VMs is following configuration best practices using the SQL best practices assessment feature. So you can start or schedule an assessment on SQL Virtual Machine Blade in the Azure portal. Once the feature is enabled, your SQL Server instance and databases are scanned to provide recommendations on things like indexes, retired features, enabling or missing trace flags, statistics, and more. Cool. That is good to see. I might try and play with that at some point as well. There's been GA Azure Site Recovery update. There's some updates there. Go and check that out if you need to. Community support for .NET 5 is ending on the 8th of May. So your applications that are hosted on App Service will continue to run and your existing workloads will not be impacted. However, Microsoft will no longer be providing patches or customer services for .NET 5. So to minimize any risk, go and get things upgraded to .NET 6 before the 8th of May. So there's a couple of months if you are still running that. But like I say, they're not going to stop working. They're just not going to be in support. You're not going to get any updates for .NET 5. Next up, community support for Node 12 LTS is ending on the 30th of April. Similar story there. So if you are running Node 12, look to get upgraded to Node 14. Go and check that. There's a link there if you need to get some steps on how to get that sorted. Azure Container Monitoring will be retired on 31st of March 2025. So container monitoring, the recommended action is look at Kubernetes on AKS and plan to migrate to Container Insights before then. So there's a few years, but heads up if you are using container monitoring at the moment. Premium Container SKU public preview will be retired on 30th of June. Okay. And we've got a public preview. Azure private link support in Azure API management is now in public preview. Cool. GA enablement of combined security information registration for Azure Active Directory. So in April 2020, combined security information registration experience for registering both multi-factor authentication, MFA, and self-service password reset, which is SSPR, was released for you to opt in. Beginning the 1st of October 22, Microsoft will be making a new combined security information registration experience for the default for all tenants. So this change does not impact your tenant if it was created after the 15th of August 2020 or if you're in China. Cool. Update your Azure SDK libraries by 31st of March 2023. So if you are using any of those SDKs, get them updated. If we've got a year, but get them updated ASAP. Migrate your Mqtt broker on IoT Edge by the 31st of March. So if you are using IoT Edge with the Mqtt broker, then you might want to look at this article and check out what you need to do there. So follow the details to transition from Event Grid on IoT Edge to the native capabilities if you are using that. So go and check that out. IoT Hub on Azure Stack Hub public preview will be retired. So, okay, they've moved that off Azure Stack Hub. That's interesting, I'm guessing, because they are going to go to Azure IoT Edge is integrated with IoT Hub running Azure. Yeah, so if you are using that on Azure Stack Hub in public preview, it's being retired. So you might want to think about shifting. Extended support for Microsoft.NET Core 3.1 will end on 31st December. Go and check that out if you are there. And finally, select as your dedicated host SKUs will be retired. So there are a few different host VM types that are being retired for various reasons. Go and check that out. Obviously, stay on top of that. If you are using these particular VM types, then, of course, you might want to consider getting those changed. But there we go. For now, that has been the Azure news and updates for this week. Until next week, let's go back on over. Okie dokie. That's it. That's been great. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. It's been a fun week again. Lots going on. And I've got some funny little dots appearing there. That's the sunlight shining through the window. Anyway, yeah, thanks for tuning in. My name's been John Lunn. Please do like, subscribe to the channel. Drop us some comments, feedback. Somebody tell me what hyperscale Citus is all about, especially that flexible server. That would be awesome. I might have to do a bit of reading on that one just to kind of set in my mind what I'm talking about every time I read that long, because there's always updates about it. So surely I just need to frame it to understand it a little bit more. But anyway, that's been the show for this week. Thanks for tuning in. Until next week, don't forget to tune in tonight for the In Convo with. I've been John Lunn. See you all soon. Bye for now.